Oh, shit. What's happening, everybody? My guest today isn't a drummer, but he sure as shit has taken some killer photos of plenty of drummers and sick musicians and shows over the last decade. And for those of you that have listened to quite a few of these episodes, you've likely seen the recurring location and or theme that is St. Vitus in Brooklyn, where I do a lot of these interviews and see a lot of these bands. And if you've been there, then you've likely seen a whole lot of Nathaniel Shannon's pictures crowning the walls. There's no shortage of killer shows, killer shots, all sorts of great capturing of moments. But as somebody who I used to run into at bars back when the Lower East Side in the East Village was on its way out, but still kind of cool, all the way up to present and over the many years, actually, to a guy photographing so many shows that I've been to, it kind of made sense to talk to this dude. And in doing so, I must say, there was no shortage of redonkulousness. I should also say that if you go to nathanielshannon.com, you will see a body of work called Street Dicks. And not to give too much away, but it's a collection not of dicks spray painted on the streets, but instead of New Yorkers with zero situational awareness walking around the streets obliviously gazing into their phones. And I have to say, I've said it before and everyone thinks I'm kind of crazy or I'm making a ridiculous generalization, but I have said the ladies are a little more prone to doing this. And it does bear mentioning that of the 111 photos, 71 of them were women. It's a pretty substantial percentage if you ask me. Just saying. But it's cool if you want to become a statistic and thin the herd, feel free to do so. In any case, get ready for some ridiculous conversations and some silly-ass storytelling. Nathaniel Shannon, ladies and gentlemen. Crash, bang, boom!
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right, Nathaniel Shannon. Wait a minute, you're not a fucking drummer. What are you doing in my house? What are you doing on my podcast?
I'm here because I take pictures of drummers.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that'll do. That'll suffice. I have been seeing your pictures and seeing you at gigs, sometimes a little bit on the inebriated side. I've seen that happen. That has also happened to myself.
Old Thaniel. That's old Thaniel. I'm new Thaniel now.
Nice. New Thaniel. I like this. It's a new. We're all bordering on a new year. You're always free to reinvent yourself, man.
Yeah, this is the time of the year to let go.
Yeah.
I guess.
Are you thinking about getting the full conversion kit? You're going to become, what would your feminine name be? Or your trans? Yeah, Natalie. 2018. You heard it here, folks. Wow. So what's happening, man? How you making out?
I'm doing well. I had, a little bit of a New York Monday today as far as having one of those days where I'm like, why the fuck do
Nothing works?
Nothing works.
Yeah.
Everything is taking forever.
Yeah.
Trains are terrible. Why the fuck do I still live here? Do this to myself?
Oh, yeah. I'm going on 12 years, and I keep asking myself how much longer I have in me. So I don't know. My wife is telling me that she needs at least 2 more years with the job, so I think I'm set for at least another 2. But at that point, it'll make 14 years for me, which is a long-ass time to be living in this crazy fucking city.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll be at 10 years in January.
Okay.
So, which also feels like it was like a month ago. It
is strange. Time it has indeed flown by. I remember when you first I think showed up in New York, man, because we were hanging out at some of the same bars in the East Village and Lower East Side.
Oh, yeah. Good old library bar.
Oh, man. I'm amazed that place is still there, man.
Well, it's a portal.
Yeah.
To, like a dimension of sadness.
Portal to a dimension of sadness.
3 red walls and a window to sadness.
Yeah, that is very true. But still pretty affordable drinks by East Village standards.
I mean, that bar in general was like a crux for me in terms of like meeting people and, band Descender, like all those dudes used to hang out there.
Oh, yeah.
Now Eric is like running Aqualam Records, which I put out my record on last fall. And just like photo work I've gotten from people. And it's like, that was the first place where I really met a core group of people. I mean, including yourself, people that I've just known for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here.
How fucking weird is that? How about, one of the ways that I can tell how long I've been here, although change in neighborhoods and such in New York is so expedited, more so than it seems anywhere else in the world, I would imagine. You can kind of time it, how long you've been living somewhere, by how you've seen it change. So,
yeah.
For instance, like when I would go to the East Village or Lower East Side, I'm like, well, Fuck, there's like a couple of places left.
It sucks
but
now. It's
God,
so
it
bad.
sucks.
I mean,
right?
I feel fortunate that as a transplant, I saw like the very tail end
of it.
like any soul
Yes.
left of this town.
Yes.
You know? And I got to enjoy that for a couple of years, and then was like, all right, well, this place isn't what, you know.
Right.
But I got to see kind of like the fantasy of what New York was in my head as far as like music, art, like all that.
Yeah.
You know, and then it just all evaporated.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, I used to do my whole thing. I would do the Library Bar at Motor City right there on the Lower East Side.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would make it up over to Three of Cups, which I believe is still there.
I think that's still there.
The shittiest of shitty basement bars. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there are some that are worse out there somewhere, but by New York standards, that bar, it's amazing I ever spent as much time that I did at that bar. But yeah, that was my little like my holy trinity of dive bars in the Lower East Side and East
Yeah,
Village.
as soon as Bearcat unhoused and closed, that was it for me. That was like the final nail of the city is dead.
Yeah. You know, the Beacon, and I remember seeing it, and I was like, God, I wonder if this is a sign of things to come. I don't know, it might have been 2009 or something like that. I saw maybe one or two nightclubs pop up with the red velvet rope and like the token black security guard with the earpiece.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, well, this is a dance club, I guess, for like Bridge and Tunnel kids or wherever they're coming from. But once I saw that seemed to usher in a whole
I think it was called like Karma or...
I don't know. I remember seeing one, I think, on Ludlow, like close to Motor City, even at the time. And it was,
yeah,
and
there's
it
the one
started
across
there.
from Iggy's.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It sucks.
That's the bottom line. In any case, many things to talk about. You have a showing with some fellow photographers coming up. What's going on with that?
Yeah, Thursday, November 2nd, I'm doing a show called Still Screaming, which has been a collective of myself, Mike Dubin, Mark Beamer, Brian, and Glenn Mariansky, and we will have Jammy, Ziggy York joining us for this show, which is at the Vice Gallery.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've had this touring band photo show for the last year and a half. We've done Philly, Oakland, Venice Beach, Beverly, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C.
Very cool.
Yeah. We did D.C. back in March, which was amazing at our friend Jason Hammaker's gallery. Ian Mackay was the first patron through.
Oh, really?
Like when we opened the doors, which was wild, you know, I mean.
Right.
I don't try and nerd out too much when I run across people, but that was just like, whoa, Ian's here looking at my work. And he was super gracious and like spent time talking to everybody. And
Really?
yeah, it was great.
God, he has such a reputation for being a bit of an asshole.
I mean, I don't know if it was because he's friends with Jason. I don't know. You
Right.
know, he
You
was
never
cool.
know.
He rolled in
That's cool,
with
though.
like 2 teenage kids. And I was like, are these his kids? Does Ian have like
Yeah.
hardcore mentoring YMCA program? I wasn't. So that was wild. But like he stopped by. I think Joe Lally was there.
Oh, cool.
You know, so in terms of for me having my work on the walls with people whose work I really like, respect, grew up looking at, is huge because it makes me feel much more like I'm not, you know, just like a fan of this stuff or a kid. It's like, you know, we're all contemporaries and peers now. But then also to have people within the community of music come talk to me about it was wild. Like I had a Rollins print up. I think, I shot the Rollins band in like 2000 in Detroit.
Awesome.
In my home. And Ian was like, wow, why do you got that guy up there? Who's that guy?
Oh, nice. He's busting your balls.
You know,
on it.
yeah. So he kind of
course.
busted my balls on it and me balls. And that was great because he just kind of rolled his eyes. And we talked about Detroit for a little while and places Fugazi had played like in the early 90s, which is a little before my time.
Right.
But just to have, you know, that dialogue with somebody was just like, oh, shit.
That's awesome.
Like, whoa.
Very cool. So as far as growing up in Detroit and pursuing music both in the instrumental form and in the photographic form, were there any particularly influential stories or any bizarre stories you'd like to tell from any of that?
Well, as far as like influence in getting started shooting music, there was a band called Cobra Youth band from Ann Arbor, all Cobra Commander themed cult. You could join. They had like a fan club. They'd send you like Cobra Commander patches and newsletters. But it's other band open called the Oven Mitts, which turned into Capture the Flag, which spawned Mr. Jeff Tuttle, who ended up
in Dillinger
years
Escape
later playing in Dillinger Escape Plan. So I ended up seeing his first band, the Oven Mitts, in high school. And it just had this like pop punk with Van Halen solos.
That's cool.
And I was just like, holy shit. They turned into a band called Capture the Flag, and like that was like the first band that I like really got kind of obsessed with locally. I started photographing them, and I mean I've been photographing Jeff for the last almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's crazy.
In his music endeavors, which especially like when he played in Dillinger, which was amazing. And he even he ended up playing in that band because Dillinger's old guitar tech was from Detroit, and he had like casually mentioned Jeff's old band Heads of Roll to them. They loved it, took them out on tour. I went out on that tour. So like I got to spend a lot of time with the Dillinger dudes.
Awesome.
In specific, like we were at a show and they're breaking up in a couple months, and like I mean, on scale with the destruction I think Eyehategod had in the 90s, partially to substance abuse and like just what they were doing. Dillinger, the opposite of that in some ways. Just probably like the most decimating live band ever.
Oh, no doubt.
Without a doubt.
How the fuck have they done it for 20 years? Or in particular, Ben Weinman. I mean, he's done it for 20 years.
I give it to him. So we were on that tour with Jeff's old band, Heads of Roll, and we were in Anaheim, and 40 seconds into the first song, Ben goes to run up the wall and like kind of kick back and jump into the crowd, not realizing that the PAs were hanging from the ceiling. It just smashes his fucking head open.
Oh, man.
Smash it. He collapses, jumps up, play the rest of the set. Greg's blowing fireballs because that's back when he still was doing that. Chain Reaction is just such a small, it's like the size of Mercury Lounge. It's so small. Yeah. It's like, dude, he's going to set kids on fire. This is going to be so sick. And after the show, Ben's sitting backstage just fucking covered in blood.
Oh, man.
So I have this like really amazing portrait I made of him just like covered in blood, and it's like hands down one of the, I think, most intense and best representative images of a person. And it's fucking awesome because he just almost killed himself,
Oh, man.
He ended up having a concussion, staples in his head, just kept touring.
Wow.
The last time I talked to him, and I was like, remember Anaheim? And there was a couple other incidents.
Did he not know that you had the picture of him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's seen it. But I was just like, whatever happened to your body? And he's like, dude, I got like chips of bone floating around in my spine, and just, the abuse that those dudes have put on themselves is like amazing. Anyway, so I digress with that, but Tuttle ended up playing with him, but I've been photographing that dude. And like, I owe kind of a lot to just him. If he didn't play guitar with the talent that he has, like maybe I would have found somebody else to kind of follow around. But that was like a huge gateway, then into local music of other bands and stuff.
Right.
Then myself playing. And
now you mentioned you growing up being fans of some of these other photographers that you're now with. How at the time were you experiencing or viewing or seeing like some of these photographs that may have been influential for you to this day?
I mean, Glenn Friedman's the gateway drug into band photography.
Okay.
I don't really need to kiss that dude's ass anymore. I think he's gotten his dick sucked a little bit over the years. So, right. But I mean, dude's groundbreaking. I don't know. But I mean, he kind of opened the gate as like, oh wow, yeah, like this is a thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't specifically looking for band photographers as much as just like, being a teenager and trying, creating art, trying to play music. Played saxophone since 6th grade.
Really?
Considered going to music school for that. Realized like there's not a future in pro sax. Like I don't love saxophone to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play saxophone. Like, hey girl, like I play saxophone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I picked up guitar in high school, because I wanted to learn how to play Nirvana songs.
Right. Well, it's also harder to get laid on a jazz gig, You know, I don't know. I would imagine.
It depends on like how much you're into heroin, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. A specific era of jazz might have been
Heroin
a
and
little
like
easier.
pineapple juice.
Is that how it works?
I don't know. It just seems like it would be a good. Well, you got to satiate, your
Right.
thirst for sugar when you're all strung out playing saxophone.
Yeah. Speaking of
Even though that's not good for the saxophone because sugar will get inside the body.
Yeah, it's saxophones and all the woodwinds, they get nasty. So you have your spit valves on them.
Yeah.
They're good looking instruments, but it's kind of gross what happens with the spit valves.
Yeah, it's just like a spit trough.
It is. It's a spit trough.
I
Yeah.
think trombones are probably grosser.
Tubas.
Instruments.
What about a tuba?
Tuba is totally full of. That's like how AIDS started.
That's how it started. Someone played a tuba and fucked a monkey, and then the next
Yeah.
thing you got
Well,
AIDS. Boom.
the monkey fucked the tuba.
Oh, that's what it
Gave
was.
AIDS, yeah.
And he got monkey jizz in his mouth from the fucking from the brass, the mouthpiece.
Monkey Jizz. That was the name of my first jazz band when I played saxophone.
You
before
were
I
full
quit.
of shit.
I am full of shit.
Oh, okay.
Monkey Jizz.
That would have been amazing.
No, that was
I'm sure it's a band name
I
somewhere.
think
It
that
has
would have been like in my failed high school ska bands.
Yeah.
Like.
You
But well, back to like even the art thing is like getting involved in music from the earliest of ages. My dad played piano and like a bit of guitar, and like we always had music playing. So it was always something that was around. And then moving forward, playing saxophone. Then I was like, I gotta play guitar.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain played guitar.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Dude's dead
Yeah.
because he played guitar so awesome.
That's right. That's what killed him.
Totally.
Wasn't the heroin or the shotgun.
That's because he wasn't drinking pineapple
Or
juice.
depending on what documentary you watch, Courtney Love herself.
Yeah, she totally did it. She's like the fucking OJ of rock and roll.
Rock and roll. That's an amazing correlation. I never thought about
Dude,
it.
she's totally the OJ of rock and roll.
Wow. Wow.
You can quote me on that. Put on a
That's
shirt.
good. That's really good. Courtney Love is the OJ of rock and roll.
Yeah, but I mean, I picked up guitar and like messed around with it. Never took it seriously, and I was in high school and had so like where I grew up, Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Ypsilanti?
Ypsilanti. It's the poor side of the tracks of Ann Arbor.
Okay.
People from Ann Arbor do not go to Ypsilanti. It's very beneath them.
Okay.
So I grew up on the poor side of the tracks, and like where I went to school, we didn't really have access to a whole lot in terms of like, I guess, more advanced educational vocations.
Yeah.
Other than we had like this really amazing performing arts program. So with him playing saxophone, it's like I went to Europe twice in high school,
really?
playing like these huge music conferences from like kids all around the world. That kind of set me on a path subconsciously of like doing something music, art. But at the high school I went to, it's like we had an art class.
Yeah.
So I took that like 45 times throughout the 4 years. And by the end of it, our art teacher was just like, dude, what do you want? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of want to take pictures. And he's like, we don't have that. But I was able to dual enroll at this local community college and take a photo class in high school with a friend of mine at the time, which kind of just broke, the door loose. That's not really a phrase.
Yeah, I think so.
Broke the door loose?
Yeah.
I don't know where the
Kick
door...
the door down?
Kick the door down.
Like a SWAT team.
Yeah. Yeah, I saxophoned my way on through the door,
Okay.
marching band style.
Sauntered your way through the door with your little
Sauntered my
salsaphone.
way, yeah, into the dark room. And that just kind of was it for me. I took that, fell in love with it, and then, it got into the full program at the community college, full ride,
Very cool.
Mad scholarships.
From when I originally saw you back in the East Village days, like we were talking about, you had mentioned that you were a fan of Eyehategod, which I thought was interesting, coming from Michigan. So, how did you find out about that crazy band?
So, I have like a really magical connection. Just wild way, 6 degrees of New Orleans, meeting you, of course, and like a handful of other friends that I have from here. But I got super into like Goat Whore, Acid Bath, like all of Sammy's everything, because that dude's still hands down to this day like one of the most entertaining people I've ever met in my entire life.
He's a fucking character for sure.
Hands down, top 5 favorite people that like I've been fortunate enough to establish a good repertoire with and become friends and document and photograph over the years. Like I love taking pictures of that dude. Whether he's playing
I
or
saw
just
one today
hanging
that you
out.
took of him. That was pretty awesome.
So, you know, I was a big fan of that. I grew up, you know, with all the Black Dahlia murder dudes. They got signed to Metal Blade. Gohor got signed to Metal Blade. They toured a lot together. So that was kind of an early introduction to those dudes. You know, I knew who Eyehategod was, but, you know, started listening to them. The weird 6 degrees is, so I grew up in a fairly religious household. And, you know, there's pros and cons to religion.
Sure.
It's a good community. There's other things that are not. You know, we can save that for another conversation. Politics, religion.
Sure.
But I remember helping my parents with this yard sale of stuff people donated. I remember finding an Eyehategod CD. But I remember finding it and being like, Eyehategod, what is this?
Well, especially coming from a religious background or upbringing, I would think that seems
pretty
risque.
Yeah, I just thought the album art was really cool and was just kind of like, whoa, you know, it's like seeing Cannibal Corpse.
Right.
Or, you know, I mean, everybody has that, like, what was the artwork that creeped you out as a kid?
Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing that and being like, huh, all right. You know, I put it away rather than taking it home and listening to it. And then years later, I discovered them and was like, oh, wow. You know, I mean, this is a great band.
It's that they definitely have either consciously or subconsciously channeled the swampy heat of that city.
I think they're the soundtrack of New Orleans.
And
you know, I
certainly
think
for the dark underbelly.
Yeah. In my connection to New Orleans, it's a place that I think to the rest of the country has this mystique that doesn't exist in a lot of other places around the country.
Well, it's the history, and I've always said that it's the most haunted city that I've ever been to or felt or been in the presence of.
Right.
Yeah, that's just one aspect of it. And there's, I mean, the history of it alone, both aesthetically and the actual just history of it and everything that's been generated, be it art, music, etc. You know, it's pretty undeniable, the power of the city and what it's generated.
Mm-hmm. So like I developed like a really good relationship with Goat Horror, went on the road with them a couple times, got to know Brian, Patten, via Ben doing Soylent Green again. I had moved here and spent a lot of time with those dudes because they had a new record out.
Yeah.
Did all the promos for that. Started shooting a lot from Metal Blade via my Black Dahlia connection. So I got to know them, and then like Eyehategod started kind of touring again, post fallout of the hurricane, and just like how that devastated, you know, fucked up everybody's lives to the nth degree.
I ended up in New York a few days post Katrina. That's how I ended up in New York.
Oh wow!
I would have not. We wouldn't be having this conversation otherwise.
Damn, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So did you just the hurricane hit and you're like, I'm out?
No, I went an hour north to my dad's and just waited for trees to fall through the house. But we knew it wasn't going to flood there, so we were like, all right, fuck it. We'll you know, here we go. And we just wild. So we were just on a generator with birds flying through the house, and you know, at least we weren't in the city with a flooded city and all that madness. But it was crazy. And then we had to run in the generator. My dad ran it to the house so we could run the fans because it was hot as a motherfucker. And we could watch the TV, but we could only get it in one channel. So we were watching footage and the news of all the crazy shit going down in New Orleans. Like, oh my God, you know, it was a crazy time. And I ended up a girl that I had been hanging out with prior to that. She lived in the East Village. Okay. And she worked within television, and she had said, if you ever want to come to New York, and probably get you some work or something. So I called her and said, you know, I'm going to be out in New Orleans for I think a good little while. So I'll come up and hang and, you know, whatever. It'd be great just to fucking get out, you know. And 12 years later, here I still am.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
I ended up staying.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'd still be down there, man. I've thought about it. You know, I had said that I was going to leave at some point 29 years into being in Southeast Louisiana, but shit, I don't know how it would have ever happened. It took, you know, it's one of the silver linings, at least in my story, that I ended up here, and it's been kind of a blessing in disguise, I think, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I can't complain, and so at least that's my story, you know.
Yeah, so I just, you know, started hanging out with those dudes when they would come through town. And as you and I were talking about going into this podcast, I had listened to the one you did with Zack a couple of weeks ago.
Zack Simmons of
Yeah,
Gilmore.
God, dude, he's so good. Such a good drummer.
I can't believe he joined that band at 17 years old.
Totally.
was
Yeah,
a
when we
child.
met, I mean, he had been in the band for a couple of years, but I mean, he was like, I don't even think he was 21.
Probably not. He was probably still a teenager. That's wild. Kid grew up on the road with those guys.
So, yeah, I was listening to that, and he made reference to the CMJ show on the boat.
Oh,
And
right,
I
where
was
Mike Williams
fucking-
said, let's sink the
Dude,
fucking thing.
God. So, they were coming to town on that tour with Eyehategod, Pig Destroyer, and I was like, oh, shit, this is going to be bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, those three bands together is like, somebody's going to die. Like, this is like a 90s tour of just like,
Right.
I know all those dudes are just going for it.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up hopping in the van with Goat Whore for the weekend to Baltimore, drove back up here. Baltimore was fun,
Yeah.
to say the least. Possibly one of the top 5 worst hangovers ever.
Really? That's
Ever.
amazing. I'd have to really think about I'd have to chart mine. That's amazing. That must have been an incredibly bad one for you to be able to
pretty
chart
bad.
it.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you puke the next day?
I don't think I could.
Really?
Yeah,
You were just
there was,
paralyzed
like,
with...
I was just paralyzed.
Oh.
And that was like night 1.
Oh, God.
Everybody else, like, and all the bands were like, all right, let's go. And I'm just like, whoa, yeah, because you guys are pros. Like, you
Oh,
do this
right.
all the time. So we got here, and the CMJ Rocks Off boat cruise thing was happening, and this like horrific storm hit. They're loading in, and I was like, how is this boat going to leave the dock? Like, the boat
Yeah.
was just rocking back and forth. So we get on the boat leaves, cruising around. I believe Strong Intention also played that. They play. Or Pig Destroyer plays. Or maybe, I don't know. I think Goat Whore played first.
Uh-huh.
And they set up these like folding tables as barricades.
Oh.
You know, and I've have you been on those before, the boat shows?
No, I've never done one.
It's like going to a basement show on a boat.
On a boat. Can you feel it rocking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and so there's this storm raging. Goat Whore comes out. They set up 2 folding tables as a barricade, and there's these just 2 gigantic security, like black security dudes. And so Goat Whore's playing, and there's this drunk dude wearing a Confederate flag shirt.
Uh-huh.
Hammered.
Oh, boy.
There. Just into it. You know, so everybody's kind of eyeballing this dude, and he's getting more and more belligerent. Pig Destroyer plays. It's great. You know, of course, as soon as Goat Whore starts playing, the folding tables, you know, get tore up and like thrown into the crowd. Pig Destroyer plays. Goat Whore, or Eyehategod comes out. You know, so I'm standing there, and this dude's fucking hammer drunk.
Yeah.
Confederate flag shirt guy. And he takes off his shirt, and he starts waving it in the face of like one of the black security dudes.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, this is not
Oh,
good.
boy.
You know, and I've been in every type of situation shooting
Wait,
a
was
show.
that the guy that got handcuffed?
Yeah,
That Zach
so-
was talking
yeah.
about? Oh, for
So
fuck's sake.
well, I'll
All
get
right,
there.
keep it going.
So this dude is like waving his shirt in security dude's face, and like there's some sort of exchange, and I was just trying to like keep my camera above my head and not end up under a pile of kids.
Yeah.
And Joey got on the mic and was like, fuck that shit, we're from New Orleans, like, you know, we're all family, you know, dudes just keep pushing the shirt in this dude's face, and Mike finally just takes the mic stand and just smashes him with it. So I got this amazing photo like seconds before it hits the dude's face. You know, I shoot like another song. I was like, I'm out. Like I'm not, like I'm on a boat. I want to get off this boat. This sucks. I'm brutally hungover. We're all gonna die. So I go down to the galley where they have the green room, and I was hanging out with Zack, and Sammy, and the dude comes walking in to the dressing room covered in blood, and we're just like, well, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? And I think he may have had security with him. I'm kind of hazy on that. But he turns around, and he's got this back piece tattoo of a girl being crucified on a pentagram, being fisted by Baphomet while he's shooting up heroin.
That was his back piece?
A girl being crucified on a pentagram, being fisted by Baphomet while shooting up heroin. And we're just like, I mean, like, it was like the record skipped, and everybody's like, whoa.
Wow.
You know, for some like evil, gnarly New Orleans, like metal dudes are all like, wow, that's a
chart
commitment.
topper.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I got him to like let me take some pictures of him, pictures of his back piece.
Oh, really?
I don't know what happened to him other than he ended up being handcuffed to like a pole.
Right.
So he couldn't, because he was fucking wasted and trying to fight everybody.
Right.
It was pretty gnarly.
That's amazing.
And it was just such a surreal moment. And I remember going out on the back of the boat with James Harvey, who was playing bass with them, with Goat Whore at the time. And we're both just like, I want to get off this boat. This sucks. The boat's rocking back and forth. And we just had this surreal moment of watching the Statue of Liberty get struck by lightning. Like,
come on.
While Eyehategod's playing on the boat. And I was like, wow, like this is fucking bonkers.
Oh my God.
So surreal. And then we finally like get off the boat, and I ended up doing a couple more days with them. And then was like on the couch for like a week.
Jesus.
Recovering.
Yeah.
But that was a wild one. That was a wild one.
That's awesome.
So it's like I have this like really weird relationship with him and with that band, and like, you know, back to even discovering them at the churchyard sale.
Yeah.
Just this magical kind of connection with those dudes, and then was very fortunate to photograph them in the basement of Vitus, like right before Joey passed away.
Yeah.
I think it was like one of the last group shots that they had with him. So
wow.
Gary, when they did the self-titled record a couple years ago, had reached out to me and was like, we'd love this picture. We'd love to put it on the back of the record. And I was like, wow, you know, just like the history without ever seeking out, you know, a relationship with them that ended up just kind of happening and forming with them, and like all the outline players like associated around that. It's just kind of like a really magical, cool thing that I don't know that I've had that with like a circle of people or a community before, like I've kind of had over the years.
Whoa,
with like the New Orleans metal scene.
Chaos can follow us.
Yeah.
I think that, and good times.
Yeah. Well, the chaos can come from the good times.
And the good times can also lead to chaos. It's true. Yeah. It's all good stuff. What about any other ridiculous stories other than the insane boat show?
Well, as you made the remark earlier of my intoxication of photographing, photo fuel, as I used to like to call it in my younger days of ignorance. So years ago, I happened to be out with New Jersey's finest band, Thursday, old friends of mine. Okay. Known those dudes for close to 20 years.
Wow.
And they took me out on what was their like finale week tour. So we were, ingesting that tour on the road heavily, so to speak. And we got to Boston, one of my favorite places that I don't get along with in the entire country.
That's an interesting way to put it. One of my favorite places that I don't get along with.
Yeah, it was a mess from the get-go. I've never had like a real great experience, which I take responsibility for a lot of experiences there.
Yeah.
So band's playing, drinking, I think. A combination of wine and like Jack Daniels probably mixed together.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
So I've been in the photo pit, and one of the security dudes, it's just big ape of a dude, was getting into it with me after the first 3 songs. And I was like, look, dude, I got a tour laminate. I'm on tour. So he gets really aggressive with me, and me and my ignorance start mouthing off to him. So we kind of go at it a little bit. The security manager comes over and tells the dude to leave me alone. Shoot a couple more songs, go up, probably get more drinks. That gets hazy. And so at the end of the show, I had been doing... So I had a couple more drinks. The band was getting towards the end of their set, and I was like, I'm gonna stage dive. It's gonna be sick. I'm gonna go take out a bunch of emos.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. So I decided to stage dive, and I make a run for it, and don't clear the barricade exactly.
Did you land on the guy?
Well, that guy was waiting for me and choked me out. I completely blacked out.
Wow.
Almost shit my pants.
Oh, that's
May have
good.
shit my pants. I don't know.
Shit your pants.
Totally choked me out.
Right.
And our friend Tyler was out driving and like kind of taking care of things, and he saw it happen, so he comes over, like grabs the dude off of me, like we started swinging, kind of going at it, and I just lose my mind, go up to the green room, break a bunch of shit, just start pounding drinks.
Oh boy.
Yeah, not a good sight. And at the end of every show, I was taking a picture of the band with the crowd behind them, and take the picture. Everything's good. The band starts walking off stage. In my brilliance, I decided to go up on the microphone, and I just pointed at the security dude, and I was like, fuck this security dude and fuck Boston.
Uh-oh.
And just drop some fingers.
Oh.
And walk off stage, and everybody's like, what are you doing?
Oh, God.
And I was like, hey, shouldn't you guys have my back?
Right.
Do you want my side of the story?
Yeah.
And in retrospect, if I had been them, I would have been like, no, not at all. So security comes looking for me. I'm fucking flipping out.
Oh, boy.
Kind of getting into it with one of the dudes in the band because he has no idea what is going on. They were playing. Like, they're not cognizant of, like, what my drunk retard self is
choked
doing.
out and shit in your pants.
Yeah. So amazing pictures, by the way.
Oh, really? You did?
Yeah.
You got some killer pictures that night.
It's my job. I'm a professional.
Really? That's amazing.
And so I ended up getting snuck out the back door and end up at like another bar. And like, I don't know what happened after that. I like totally blacked out. And
wow. Dude, you got out of there
That
alive.
wasn't like a proud moment of...
But you're lucky you escaped death.
Yeah. You're
lucky the fucking mob. You can't roll up into Boston and say that shit.
No.
Not have a mob after you.
It's true.
Jesus.
It's like making fun of Rick to Life or Lord Zack.
Or the insane clown posse at
or the Juggalos.
At a Juggalo event.
Or the Juggalos that are subcultures surrounding the Boston and New York
hardcore scene.
Hardcore scene.
Are they descendants?
We're all just a juggalo, Jody. Everybody's just a juggalo.
We're all just juggalos.
Not everybody wears clown makeup,
Right. We're juggalos inside.
I was being a juggalo that night.
Right.
I have no problem admitting that, Sometimes you just got to go chicken hunting.
That's right.
Public.
Amazing, man. Well, tell me about this band that you have assembled with buddies of mine and yours. Local band Godmaker is your backing band.
Yeah.
What's going on with this thing?
So years ago when you and I first met, kind of library scene, my ex-girlfriend at the time had this Tascam digital recorder at home. So I kind of started recording like all these weird, creepy songs. I kind of stumbled upon this idea, which is like nothing new, of like taking kind of metal themes, like really macabre things, heavily influenced by my father, who is now a retired police officer, mixed with like kind of growing up in Detroit, true crime,
religion,
murder, religion, like metal things mixed with like this music that is not necessarily reflective of that. So I started writing all these songs, and Eric Pomerlee from Descender and Jonathan Swafford, Black, Vagina Panther, started this label several years ago, Aqualam. And they had approached me and were like, we heard some of your recordings. We really want to put this stuff out. And I was like, dude, no, like I have no interest in that. I want to play in like an Ink and Dagger ripoff band and like write about vampires and stalking people,
Of course.
And they kept pressuring me for like a good 2 years before I finally was like, okay, let me sit down and kind of figure this out. So I started going through the songs, just fumbling my way through recording stuff myself, and got the record like pretty close to being done. And went to California, was done with the record, and left a hard drive on an airplane that had the finished record on it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Not kidding.
You did not.
Not kidding. Totally left it on a plane.
Did you get the drive back?
Fuck no.
Oh, man.
No. So I get back to New York and was just like, whoa, shit. Fuck this. Not doing it. Not doing this record.
Clearly not
going to
doing
do
it.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't meant to be. And they were like, so just re-record. And I was like, I don't even know how to play these songs. Like, I just kind of shit them out. So I lost like the last months of recording. Was like, okay. I went back and soldiered through, finished recording it. And Mr. Steve Austin from Today Is a Day, fantastic person, scary motherfucker, and absolute delight.
He used to come in with your boy from Unsane
Chris.
Chris, and both of them would be fucking shithoused when I was DJing at Motor City. This all ties back to Motor City.
Oh, great.
And the Lower East Side. Once
Totally.
again, I'd be DJing, and those guys would come in, and they'd be like, man, can you play some Today's the Day? And I was like, I don't know that I can really play something that heavy right now.
Right. So good. Speaking of Motor City, when I first moved here, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the fucking Detroit bar.
Oh, right, because it was a fucking Detroit
Yeah,
bar.
I'm going to go check out this Detroit bar and see if it's really like Detroit.
Right.
So I go in with my ignorant Detroit attitude, which
Yeah.
does not really get you anywhere in the
Right.
world. Hot. Came in hot.
Yeah.
And I mouthed off to somebody. Somebody mouthed off to me. I ended up pulling out a knife, you know. 'Cause
Really?
we're all strapped in Michigan.
Yeah.
Good old fucking knives.
Yeah,
I'm
shanking a
just being
bitch.
stupid. And ended up pulling out a knife and got kicked out of there and like just threw a fit outside, being like, fuck this place, this isn't like Detroit, you don't act like Detroit and that.
You're
And I
supposed
was like,
to
I
be
will
able
never
to pull out a knife in a Detroit-themed bar. That's part of the Detroit
It's true,
theme.
man. We're all just juggalos. Anyway, so today is the day, Steve. You know, they were in town and I was doing some photo work for him. Getting ready for like a tour cycle, and I was like, hey man, you know, like what would you charge to like work on these batch of songs that I have, because like Slade wants to put them out, I don't know what to do with it, you know, could you just take a listen to them? And he's like, sure, you know. I sent him to him and he calls me, he's like, Nathaniel, man, songs are fucking weird, man. And I was like, well thanks, Steve. And he's like, no, man, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, man. Shit's fucking weird. My wife heard it, and she was like, that shit's weird. Yeah, so he ended up mixing and mastering the record, which is huge, because
Yep.
I've been a huge fan for years and years, and then he and I, over the years, through me photographing him, have developed a really great relationship. And that was an amazing experience to have him tied in. So the label ended up, you know, every release on Aqualam comes with this 100-page art book. So I designed the art book and made like, you know, 100 pages is like 50 spreads of like photo collages and just mixed media stuff, which was like a massive undertaking.
Fuck yeah.
But it was also kind of great because it really had that record. Well, it's not anything specific, kind of represents a time period of my life between like when I moved here and when it ended, as does all that photo work.
Right.
Because I didn't really shoot a lot of new stuff for it. It was kind of going back through an archive and matching shit that fit with the song. So it was like kind of like a nice way to like brush away like the first chapter of my life here. Yeah, so I started playing shows just by myself. And, you know, I feel like I kind of championed that enough where I was comfortable with it. And about a month and a half ago, Dave from Vitus hit me up and was like, hey, you know, like we're going to throw you on opening for Woven Hand and Sub Rosa at Vitus. You know, it's sold out. And I was like, oh, okay, what do I do? And I was like literally getting onto a plane to go back to Michigan. And I just was like, fuck, what am I going to do? That's like a week and a half from now. And, you know, Jonathan had reached out to Godmaker and they were like, fuck yeah, like, absolutely. Like, let's do this, you know? So we walked into practice. Those dudes are amazing musicians. Walked into practice. They already knew all the songs. And so like you know, they were super stoked on it. I was like, do you guys, you know, want to do this with me? That would be fantastic. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't have asked for a better way of falling into dudes that are already established playing together who are incredible. Yeah. Like, they're all just amazing dudes. To be able, for me to be like, yeah, so I want to do this. And they're like, all right, cool, done. And then asking me questions. And I'm like, just play it. Yeah. I don't know. Like, how do you want to play it? That's fine. So we're going to play a show on November 30th. Again, it's the full band at the Brooklyn Night Bazaar. It's a label showcase. Husbandry is putting out a new record, and it's going to be their album release show.
Oh, cool.
That band's amazing. Black Black is playing. Yeah, so I'm super stoked on that.
Well, shit, Nathaniel, I think that about covers it, man. There was no shortage of shit talking, and I think we covered about as much as one could possibly.
Do we want to talk about how gay black metal is?
Yes, I would say I already kind of have a sense of how gay it is. Without you elaborating on it.
It's like talking about 9/11 conspiracy theories.
Right. All right, man. Well, shit, thanks for sitting down and talking to me, my man.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, Jody. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, November 2nd, Vice Gallery, somewhere in the city on Broome, photo show, Still Screaming. That's going to be amazing. And all old band photos, and then the show at the Night Bazaar.
Bam.
Thanks for plugging me.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yes, indeed. All right, everybody. Told you that'd be fucking ridiculous. Thanks for tuning in, as always, and feel free to subscribe on iTunes if you haven't already, as well as the YouTube channel that is up. Definitely check out Nathan's Still Screaming show, which is coming to the UAS house at 329 Broome Street, with an opening party November 2nd from 7 to 10. Feel free to text SCREAM, that's Scream, if you can't spell, to 35016 to RSVP for the opening. If you can't make it next Thursday, the show will be up until November 15th, and the space is open 12 to 7 daily except Mondays. Also, feel free to check out Nathaniel Shannon and the Vanishing Twins LP, Trespasses, out on Aqualam Records. And they're playing a show 11/30th at the Brooklyn Bazaar with Husbandry, who is having a record release, Black, Black Whale, and Marching Teeth. Check that dude out. Later, y'all. Crash, bang, boom.